Welcome back. This week we're talking about how to shift from scarcity mindset to abundance mentality. You have a place in your life where you are unconsciously operating from scarcity. I promise you, we all do. And we draw in what we already are. So if there's one area, just one teeny tiny area where you have a little bit of scarcity going on in your mindset, it can bring in scarcity in all areas of your life. This video is going to teach you exactly where you're doing this, bringing in what you don't want, and we're going to explore how to shift out and create abundance in every aspect of your life. So what's abundance? What's scarcity? When you break it all down to its most basic level, it's really simple. Scarcity equals fear, and abundance equals love. That vibrational, high frequency energy. Again, don't get overly attached to the words. Just feel into and listen to what I'm saying, okay? Just stay with me. What's the negative impact of scarcity? When you operate from scarcity, you are living an inauthentic life. Bottom line. Maybe not completely, but some part of you is not in line with your higher self. Therefore, you are not 100% authentic. You are not living your truth. You are not in integrity. So how do you know when you're doing that? How do you know when you're in scarcity? This is a really good question, and when you really have to be committed to unearthing the truth around, okay? Your mind is tricky. Your mind will tell you that you're in line with your values, but really, you're operating from fear. For instance, I have seen people believe that they're doing the right thing by others, but really underneath, there's fear that's driving them and keeping them from seeing the deeper truth. They're in reaction to what the world is telling them. And you draw in what you already are. So look around. Do you see things you don't like in your life? Areas where you aren't quite where you want to be? This is a good chance it's because you have a scarcity mindset around this situation. So how do you know for sure? You take a vow of curiosity. You question everything. You become curious, like a curious cat. And then what? You shift from scarcity to abundance. How do you do that? First, by being aware, like we said, being the curious cat. Number 2, exploring and becoming friends with your fear. Number 3, you give your fear a different job and you trust that it's going to do the new job. And number 4, you take action toward abundance. So those 4 things, be aware and curious, explore and become friends, give your fear a new job, and take action toward the abundance. Here's a little story about my own experience with abundance. I remember a time when I was working quite a bit, taking care of young children and trying to balance life. I often felt like there were never enough opportunities to do all the things I want to do as a parent, right? Does that sound familiar? At one point, I just stopped and I got curious about what was really happening. I was telling myself a story of not enough time, energy, etc. Scarcity, right? So I leaned into and got comfortable what was underneath my fear. The kids not getting what they need and therefore not being successful in life. I know, it sounds super silly right now, right? I know it now, but I really had to stop and get super clear, super curious because I was unaware. And from this place of awareness, I was able to give my fear a different job. What I did was I gave my fear the opportunity to designate 10 minutes of special, what we called special time when the girls were little. Every day, I gave them 10 minutes to each child where they got to do whatever they wanted with me and without interruption or disruption, technology, anything else. They absolutely loved this time, and I soon saw that it really wasn't about time. It was about pivoting away from scarcity with time and toward abundance with time. Because for them, 10 minutes felt like an eternity. It was that quality, that being with. And sometimes 10 minutes felt like, an hour to me, but an hour in a fun way, an exciting way. Time just flew, right? Time flies when you're having fun. So that's one story of how I shifted from scarcity to abundance. But what can change in your life? What you already being is what you will attract more of. We've talked about this. So let's say you're in scarcity around finances. There doesn't ever seem to be enough of, or at least you feel stressed about money often. Many people do. You can actually become a person of wealth and prosperity simply by shifting from scarcity to an abundance mindset. I know I grew up in severe poverty, and it was able to shift this very quickly when I left home. One example is when I was in my 20s, I was able to make myself debt-free with a home and a car I called my own. What happened was I realized I had fear around money and not having enough of it to pay the bills. So I gave my fear a job. I told it to write out my checks for the bills even before I received my paycheck. I put them in an envelope and I set them on my desk where I could see them. Sometimes I would even get crazy and mail them the day before I got paid, right? I still remember that kind of fluttery feeling in my stomach right before I put them in the mailbox because I knew I was mailing checks for bills that I didn't have the money to pay for quite yet because the money hadn't shown up in my bank account. But what that stretch did, what that fluttery feeling did, that discomfort, taught me how to shift from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mentality with money. So how does this show up now in my 40s? I believe, I trust, I take risks, and I know that the money will show up. And guess what? It always does. And I don't mean crazy risks. Well, not usually. I mean things like hiring someone to support my business or investing in a high-level business coach for myself and my business. Risks that are both sourced and also thought out. So that's what we're learning about scarcity and how to shift it into abundance mentality. And here's your challenge for the next week. I want you to choose a situation that's challenging right now where you might be a little bit in scarcity. This could be an upcoming job opportunity that would be a promotion for you, or it could be some other area of your life. Your fears are popping up, maybe even data that supports how you aren't qualified for this job, right? Sounds like it makes sense, sounds logical. What I want you to do is, number one, pivot toward it and embrace it. Write down your fears in one column, and in the second column, how you can make friends or give that fear a job, right? Make a list of all the times you weren't qualified in the past and still accomplish something. Here's a little hint. Anytime you've done anything for the first time in your life, from riding a bike to starting your first job, you weren't qualified. That's the truth, right? That's the first thing. So number two is, when the fear comes up, recite this list of other times in your life where you were not qualified for the job. Super simple. Write down the list. When the fears come up, recite the list back to yourself. Number three is, do the thing that you fear that has you in scarcity and act as if it is so. Meaning, apply for the job and act as if you already got offered the job, that you are qualified and got offered. The thing that had you riding your bike for the first time was only the belief that you could do it. Do that same thing with applying for the job. Do it in all aspects of your life. I'm really looking forward to hearing how this goes, and I'll see you back here next week. Take care. Bye-bye.